The DC universe has always been home to some of the best and brightest heroes in fiction, from Wonder Woman to Batman to Aquaman and Green Lantern. But one stands above the rest as the original, the symbol of hope, the Man of Steel, Superman. He's been gone for some time, but thanks to the dedication of Dwyane The Rock Johnson, Superman has made his full return to the DC Extended Universe, and the stage has been set for a battle between the terrifying anti-hero Black Adam and the ultimate superhero, Superman. And yeah, this is a remake of a video that we had made back in 2019, but the scaling has changed dramatically, so there's a lot more to say. I'm not doing it just for the views because this character appeared in Black Adam, or, because I have a certain sponsorship on this video.
This seems like a cash grab. Cash grab. A cash grab. Cash grab. The moolah. It's a cash grab. Guys, greedy.
As always, I will cover Superman's strength, durability, speed, and other unique skills and abilities to determine just how powerful he truly is within the DC Extended Universe. But before we continue, I would like to note that I will be going over what is canon, and unfortunately that means Joss Whedon's inferior Justice League film, because whether we like it or not, that's the current canon in the DC Extended Universe unless The Flash changes something.
No, don't like that.
Additionally, all calculations used in this video will be credited and listed in the description. So with all that said, how powerful is Superman? Kal-El was born on Krypton and was the first naturally born Kryptonian in centuries. Unlike other Kryptonians who had a predetermined destiny, Kal-El could be anything. He wasn't specifically bred to be the most powerful Kryptonian, but he definitely turned out to be just that. Kal-El was given the freedom to choose his path, and he chose to protect humanity. While being born on Krypton didn't inherently grant him any superpowers there, he was sent to Earth as his planet turned to ashes, and by spending years bathed in the yellow rays of Earth's sun, which is much younger and brighter than Krypton's, Kal-El's muscles, skin, and senses were all amplified. His Kryptonian body also gathered nourishment from Earth's atmosphere, further enhancing every facet of his being. After being found and adopted by the Kents, he was given the name Clark, and as a child, he was extremely powerful, but he was afraid of this power at first. As he grew older, he became more comfortable with these powers, but because of his father's warnings, he always held back. He was never able to truly test his abilities and get a true sense of his own incredible power. He kept his power secret until one day when his school bus careened off a bridge and began to sink into the water below. To save the lives of his classmates, he had to push the entire school bus out of the river. This feat is made even more impressive by the fact that the bus was nearly completely underwater, so not only did he have to push the weight of the bus, but also all the children and the weight of the water logged inside, which is over 10,000 pounds in total.
Hey, that's pretty good.
After the death of his adoptive father, Clark traveled the world on a journey of self-discovery where he would routinely rescue those in need and defend the innocent. One such instance was aboard a collapsing oil rig which had gone up in flames. Clark crumples a door on this oil rig like it's a piece of paper, while he's engulfed in flames. Not to mention his chest hair has grown so powerful that it's beyond control.
You can't keep this up! Don't you know what's gonna happen? Every time you shave it, it's gonna come in thicker and fuller and darker.
Oh, that's an old wives' tale.
Is it? Look at this!
As the fire continues to spread and more explosions go off, the rig becomes unstable. To ensure the safe evacuation of the crew, Clark holds up a portion of the massive oil rig to give the crew enough time to escape. Eventually, he made his way to his cousin's derelict and abandoned ship, where he finds the remnants of his father's will and learns of his heritage. However, things go south quickly after the return of General Zod and his Sword of Ra followers. Here, Clark is given his first real test, Kryptonian warriors who were bred for one purpose, to fight for and defend Krypton. Like a newbie weightlifter, Clark's body gains strength at an incredible rate, able to not only match these powerful warriors, but even overpower Zod and save the planet.
That's how you handle people.
In between Zod's attempted terraformation of Earth and Lex Luthor's plans to kill the Man of Steel, Superman performs one of his greatest feats off-screen, preventing an earthquake by shifting a tectonic plate. Using a median calculation provided by Comic Books vs. the World, we are able to determine that this tectonic plate weighed roughly 24 quintillion tons. But because lifting strength does not always equal attack potency, we need to convert this number. To convert this into attack potency, first we need to know the time it would take for the earthquake to happen and the magnitude of that earthquake. We will be using a magnitude of 6, as this is just slightly above average based on the headline of devastating. So for the sake of fairness, we're going to lowball Superman just a bit. Rupture velocity usually happens about 3 kilometers per second, so dividing the length of the rupture by 3 means Superman has about 6 seconds to stop the earthquake before it starts. Assuming he moved it 10 meters in half that time, again for the purposes of lowballing the feat, that still means he managed to generate over 24 teratons, making him country level by this time, meaning his punches generate enough power to destroy a country. Eventually, due to a devious and convoluted plot set up by Lex Luthor, Superman was forced to battle Batman, who was able to weaken Superman with one of his true weaknesses within the DC Extended Universe, kryptonite. Superman was so weak by the end of their battle that Batman could have easily killed Superman. However, Batman saw the error of his ways, Martha, all that, yada yada yada, and spared Superman.
My mommy's name is Martha, too. Wait, what's your father's name?
Jonathan?
Mine's Thomas.
But there was still Luthor to worry about, who in the meantime had recreated the abomination Doomsday and set it loose. Despite still being weakened by the kryptonite, Superman was able to catch a sucker punch let loose by the monster and battled Doomsday valiantly, eventually taking the monster to space, planning to keep it far from Earth, and that's when the nuke went off. Sent by the US military to end both threats simultaneously, this backfired. What they didn't realize was that Doomsday has the unique ability of rapid adaptation and energy absorption. The nuke did nothing but make Doomsday more powerful. Meanwhile, Superman was nearly killed by the nuclear blast. And this is often pointed to by Superman down players, as nukes are far weaker than Superman's true strength, so him almost dying to a nuke would mean that he's really not all that strong. However, they always seem to forget that Superman had still not recovered entirely from the kryptonite, and this isn't even up for debate. Superman has an incredible healing factor. It's so potent that he can regenerate instantly from any damage done to him as long as he has access to solar radiation from the yellow sun. However, he was fighting Batman at night. The sun had not yet risen. Because of this, Superman never regenerated, and he still retained the cut on his face from Batman earlier in the film as he's fighting Doomsday. The kryptonite was still in his bloodstream from inhaling it not once, but twice, so a far weaker Superman was hit with a nuclear blast and still survived, albeit barely. After absorbing the sun's rays within the vacuum of space, Superman regenerated from near death and returned to battle at full power, probably the strongest he had ever been, because he had never been in space and experienced the sun's rays without the atmosphere filtering them. He was so strong that he was even able to match this amplified Doomsday's heat vision for a short time. By this point, Doomsday had eclipsed Superman's current power level. Every moment that passed by, Doomsday became more and more powerful. Its power increases exponentially, which would have eventually led to the decimation of the entire planet. According to Zack Snyder, if the fight would have continued, Doomsday would have destroyed the Earth with a singular blast.
The notion was that he would charge up and do that, and then that would be that would, because we're going to use it later, of course, when he destroys that's how he would eventually destroy the world,
However, Superman, knowing that Doomsday was part Kryptonian, took up the kryptonite spear and plunged it into the beast, sacrificing himself to save the world once again. Following Superman's death, Batman and Wonder Woman work together to assemble a team of extraordinary beings to serve as protectors of the Earth now that Superman was no longer there to do so. However, their team could do little to nothing against the new god Steppenwolf, who invaded Earth to redeem himself after being pushed back by the old gods thousands of years ago. The timing of his invasion was not a coincidence. Steppenwolf knew that Superman was dead, and therefore the planet was defenseless. Had Superman survived, it's likely Steppenwolf would have continued to wait in exile until the Man of Steel was no more.
No lanterns. No Kryptonian. This world will fall.
After suffering defeat after defeat at the hands of the Invader, the Justice League decided to resurrect Superman using the power of the Speed Force and a Mother Box, an ancient and powerful artifact used to terraform planets by the New Gods. Batman argued that Superman wasn't really dead, but he just needed something powerful enough to wake him up, as Batman believed Superman himself was in fact stronger than a planet and could easily withstand the energy of a Mother Box, and he was right.
The Mother Box was designed to reshape a planet.
So,
What if you were stronger than a planet?
Superman was successfully resurrected, and seemingly empowered by the Mother Box. As we had seen previously, Superman, after regenerating to full health, was similar in strength and speed to Wonder Woman. However, after being resurrected, his power increased astronomically. As I said, he was previously relative to Wonder Woman's strength, but now he could casually hold off the combined strength of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg. He easily launched Aquaman and Wonder Woman with his punches, battered Cyborg with his heat vision, and even tossed aside all three simultaneously. Even Wonder Woman's most powerful strikes were nothing to Superman. Meanwhile, he flattened her with a powerful headbutt. Let's keep in mind that with her sword, Wonder Woman could cleave off Doomsday's limbs. Maybe it wasn't the brightest idea to try and play God and resurrect somebody from the dead.
As you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're gonna find out.
Eventually, Superman was able to come to his senses after seeing Lois again. However, it took some time to reconcile with his resurrection. Meanwhile, Steppenwolf finally gathered all three Mother Boxes, and the Justice League went to stop him. However, they were losing, badly. That's when Superman swooped in to save the day, rescuing civilians and still finding the time to beat down on Steppenwolf with a smile on his face.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
The new god simply could not compare to the Man of Steel. So it's pretty clear to see that Superman became more powerful after its resurrection. To even argue otherwise would just be silly, I guess. But how much more powerful did Superman become? Well, it's pretty clear that he's at minimum at least 3 times stronger, as Cyborg and Aquaman are relative to Wonder Woman's strength, and Superman prior to his death was at this level as well. But I've got a bit more insight into his full power. If you're a big fan of the Zack Snyder DC films, then you probably already know this, but for those of you who are not aware, there was a Doomsday who was created on Krypton before the planet was destroyed. That Doomsday escaped the planet, but not before doing some damage. During the Man of Steel watch party hosted by Zack Snyder himself, he states that the shattered moon we see in the sky was actually destroyed by Doomsday, and at some point Steppenwolf battled this Doomsday and they both lived to tell the tale. So using this feat, we can pretty easily surmise that Steppenwolf and Doomsday should both be able to output and endure forces up to or exceeding 25 exatons, which is enough power to destroy a moon. At the very least, they would be multi-continental based off of this. So Wonder Woman and Aquaman can both endure strikes from Steppenwolf, so he shouldn't be so much more powerful to the point of one-shotting them. Superman, of course, exceeds this by at least 3 times. Additionally, Superman was able to separate the Mother Box unity. This feat is very, very important, so I'm going to spend a bit more time elaborating on the destruction of the Mother Box unity. After being unified, the mother boxes can output planet-altering levels of energy, which is up to 29.6 exatons. The Unity possesses the power to reshape and destroy entire worlds over a period of time. They are stated to pack so much energy that planets are unable to resist it, and only beings more durable than planets could withstand its power. Which, brings us back to the previous feat of Superman enduring the Mother Box, which was empowered by the Speed Force. As Batman says, Superman is stronger than a planet. And while you might say, well, Cyborg helped to separate the Mother Box Unity, I don't really think this matters at all. He sort of talks to the Mother Box Unity to get the process started. But if you remember the fight scene between Superman and the rest of the Justice League earlier in the film, the combined strength of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg did absolutely nothing to Superman. So Cyborg's assistance with tearing apart the Unity physically is negligible. He's a drop in the ocean that is Superman's power. To support this even more, Zeus cracked the Mother Box Unity, and Steppenwolf survived attacks from Zeus, although these did damage Steppenwolf and ultimately forced him to retreat. With all that being said, Superman approaching or even exceeding planetary power isn't that far-fetched. Again, Batman states he's stronger than a planet. He's also far more powerful than Moonbusters, so much so that they can't do anything to him at all. And he's literally stated to be the most powerful being in the universe multiple times.
The most powerful and unstoppable force in the entire universe has been on the sidelines for too long.
And I don't think this is just a statement from an actor. I think this is a valid statement from the executive producer of the film, and he's been saying it consistently. He said it multiple times that Superman is the most powerful being in the universe. He had a major hand in shaping Black Adam as an executive producer. He had Black Adam removed from Shazam, and he's the reason that Superman is in the post-credit scene and that Henry Cavill is even returning to the DC Extended Universe. So I think as a producer, he's saying Superman is the most powerful being in the DC Extended Universe. So that covers Superman's strength and his durability. But what about his speed? Well, during his iconic first flight, he travels from the Fortress of Solitude, which is located on Ellesmere Island, to Africa in about 9 seconds. And for this calculation, we are assuming he is near Mount Kilimanjaro based on what we see during the scene. That would mean Superman traveled about 6,600 miles in about 9 seconds, which clocks him at Mach 3,739. And that's literally the first time he flies, ever. This would make him far above hypersonic, and even the novelization of Man of Steel confirms that Zod was at least hypersonic. Later, we see him fly from Metropolis to the Indian Ocean, as well as from Metropolis to Mexico. Both of these feats he accomplishes in seconds, but as I mentioned earlier, the more experienced Superman becomes with his power, and the more he pushes his limits, the more powerful he becomes. In the guidebook for Batman v Superman, it stated that Superman's heat vision is a beam of light, therefore making it the speed of light as well. To support this, his beams function as beams of light. They always move in a straight line, and they reflect off of a surface just how a beam of light would. Wonder Woman is consistently able to very casually react to and deflect these light speed attacks, even when fired at point blank range. Additionally, towards the tail end of Man of Steel, Superman is able to outfly a singularity, confirmed multiple times to be a black hole, which sucks in anything doused in Phantom Zone energy. Because Superman was doused in this energy, he would need to fly faster than the speed of light to escape the singularity, and in the same guidebook we mentioned earlier, Superman's travel and combat speeds are stated to be equal, meaning he can not only travel faster than light, but react to and fight at this speed as well. This is relevant because Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg all scale to this Superman, and Steppenwolf is roughly equal in speed to them, if not a little faster. Of course, Superman moves much faster than the speed of light after being resurrected. So fast that other characters who can react to light speed attacks are seen as statues compared to him. Only the Flash, the fastest man alive, is capable of even keeping up. So, in the end, Superman is massively faster than light, hundreds to thousands of times beyond this speed. Now let's get into the Kryptonian abilities that are a little bit more unique. The first of these is flight, and this just in, Superman can fly. Due to Earth's weaker gravitational pull, Superman can leap in great bounds and eventually learns to fly through the air. How exactly he does this is sort of unknown, but it's tied to Earth's gravity compared to Krypton's. The radiation of a yellow sun doesn't just provide him with super strength, speed, and flight. Superman's senses are also amplified to an insane degree. His vision is enhanced to the point that he can see through nearly anything. When he was young, his senses would overwhelm him, but his mother taught him to hone these senses, and as an adult, he's able to turn his X-ray vision on and off at will. He used this ability to scan the Justice League and assess their threat level. However, this does have a limitation. Superman cannot see through lead, which is how Lex Luthor was able to successfully bomb the US Capitol building. Of course, his hearing is just as good as his sight. Superman can hear up to 500,000 hertz. And just for comparison, the average human can hear up to 20,000 hertz, dogs can hear up to 35,000 hertz, and bats can hear up to 110,000 hertz, giving Superman nearly 5 times better hearing than the best ears on the planet. When he becomes a fully fledged superhero, he's able to hear subtle sounds over very vast distances, and can even pinpoint distinct sounds through a lot of background noise. For example, during the fight with Doomsday, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman were attempting to hold him back, and there are explosions going off, people getting smashed through concrete, there was a woman playing an electric cello, and Amazon's chanting in the background for some reason. But despite this, Superman was able to hear Lois drowning. Similarly, during the fight with Steppenwolf, Superman was able to hear that the Flash needed help saving the civilians and rushed to his aid. The range of Superman's hearing is also pretty nuts. Like, literally, it makes no sense. During Batman v Superman, the Man of Steel was all the way in Smallville, Kansas, and was able to hear Lois falling through every single sound within his range, pinpoint her location, and save her before she landed on the ground. Now, how far is his hearing range? Well, we don't know the location of Smallville, Kansas, so for this example we will use the location of Chase, Kansas, which is a stand-in for the city in the TV show Smallville. As for Metropolis, we will use Jersey City, New Jersey, as we know that Metropolis and Gotham are both located in that general area within the DC Extended Universe. The distance between these two cities is approximately 1,400 miles, meaning if Superman was in Smallville, he can hear nearly everything that is happening within the continental US simultaneously. He's kind of like an all-powerful Santa Claus in that sense. He can see you when you're sleeping with his X-ray vision, he knows when you're awake with his super hearing, and he also knows what you're doing in the bathroom when you lock the door and you're taking that really, really long shower. You're not really taking a really, really long shower, are you? Superman knows what you're doing in there, and he's disgusted. Now, we've mentioned this next ability a few times, but I'd like to go into a bit more detail on one of Superman's most iconic abilities, his heat vision. Superman can use his heat vision to carve tunnels straight through glaciers, burn through Kryptonian armor, and even create devastating blasts, but he can also be precise enough to cauterize wounds. And another ability that most people forget about, including Warner Brothers, as Superman has only used it once during the Justice League's battle with Steppenwolf and 0 times in his 2 appearances before, is his frost breath. The new god was mid-axe swing, and Superman was able to freeze him in his tracks. The ice compromised him so much that Wonder Woman was able to cut right through his godlike weapon. Also, another ability I mentioned earlier is Superman's regeneration. As long as Superman has access to the yellow sun, he's able to regenerate from almost any injury. As we discussed earlier, he was able to heal from near death after tanking a nuclear blast, and after destroying the World Engine, which exposed him to the atmosphere of Krypton, again weakening him, a single ray of sunlight was able to get him back in fighting form. If Superman is fighting in the warmth of daylight, it's nearly impossible to stop him unless you're powerful enough to take him down in one hit, as just a small amount of the sun's radiation is enough to get him back to full strength. Finally, let's talk about an ability which is probably going to be pretty surprising to most people watching, and that's magic resistance. In the comics, Superman doesn't have a weakness to magic, but he is affected by it just like everyone else is. He's not weak to it, he simply doesn't have a resistance to it. However, in the DCEU, we see Wonder Woman use her magical lasso, created by the old god Hestia and imbued with her magic, enhancing it so it is powerful enough to restrain Doomsday and compel anyone who touches the lasso to tell the truth. However, when Superman is compelled by the lasso, he resists the magic of it and ignores Wonder Woman's pleas. So I would argue that in this universe, Superman actually does have a resistance to magic as well, making him even more broken. So those are all the skills and abilities of Superman that I can think of, as well as all of his strength and speed and durability broken down to as powerful I think the DC Extended Universe Superman is. So I think Black Adam is surely going to have his work cut out for him if he's going to attempt to battle Superman in any capacity. He might need to receive another amp from an additional pantheon of gods to even come close. But let me know down in the comments who you think is going to end up winning that fight. Will Black Adam get the advantage over Superman, or is the Man of Steel simply too powerful to be contended with? And do you think these are the upper limits of Superman's strength within the DC Extended Universe? Do you think we'll see him exceeding far beyond planetary and becoming even faster, maybe even to the point of reversing time? Let me know down in the comments. Also, let me know which character you would like to see a breakdown of next. Remember to like and subscribe. It does really help us out. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, and remember the motto, it's Superman over everything, and I'll see you guys next time.